Are you a son of liberty? Sons of Liberty tees are made in America. Support liberty, the Constitution, and the Second Amendment. I don't know about you, but I'm the gun-owning, God-fearing American Obama warned you about. Click the link below and buy a Sons of Liberty tee today. Support AMTV and support liberty.
Do you know what 2010 shaping up into 2011 reminds me of? It reminds me of 2005. Now, you remember 2005. That's when residential real estate prices were exploding, doubling and tripling overnight. And you read about investors in the mainstream media buying 10 to 15 properties at a time in states like Arizona and California. And when they were asked how many homes they owned, they didn't even know, but didn't really care because they were becoming paper millionaires overnight. You remember 2005. That's when the big banks in this country orchestrated mortgage-backed securities, created all these exotic products, broke them up into these fancy tranches and sold them off to investors at given rates of return. You remember that, guys, but hey, why worry about that? The guys on Wall Street know what they were doing. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, let's not factor in the fact that residential real estate prices could ever potentially go down again. Who cares about the fact that today the United States federal government owns more U.S. Treasury debt than any country in the world, outpacing China, over $1 trillion? Who cares that the federal government is the buyer of last resort? Who cares that we have a total national debt in this country of $14 trillion and growing, and that we can't possibly ever pay it back, and that by 2015, unfunded liabilities for each U.S. citizen will be over $1 million. $1 million. And we possibly can't pay that back. Who cares about the fact that Social Security will probably never be paid to you? Who cares about the fact that we don't live in a capitalist society? Who cares about the fact that we live in a country that rewards bailouts, that rewards handouts, that rewards broken institutions that fail, that are failures, that are worthless, that are embarrassments to the United States? Who cares? Who cares that our politicians don't care about the American people, that only care about lining their pockets and getting in bed with the banks and colluding at the top for massive wealth redistribution? Who cares that the American people were robbed $15 trillion in 2008 so the politicians in the top 1% in this country could control 95% of the wealth? Who cares about the fact that the federal government is the buyer of last resort in every major asset class in the U.S. economy? Who cares that we're fighting worthless wars that President Obama said we were going to get out of years ago? It was the premise for him getting elected. Who cares that instead of doing that, we're sending more and more troops over there? Who cares that North and South Korea are now fighting and that North Korea is about to launch a nuclear weapon at South Korea? Who cares? Who cares about the fact that every freedom that you once enjoyed as an American in this country is about to be taken away from you? Who cares about the fact that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks may or may not be fabricated by the CIA? Who cares about the fact that they're going to take away and start censoring the internet? Who cares about the fact that they're going to take away the freedom of speech? Who cares about the fact that they're going to take away the freedom of thought? And that every freedom, every right, every human condition, every fundamental truth that this country was built on is about to be taken away from you? Who cares about the fact that nobody remembers recent history? Who cares about the fact that people don't remember that in this country during the McCarthy era, they witch hunted anybody that spoke out against the federal government? Who cares about the fact that the federal government is lying to you on a daily basis? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? I mean, what possibly could go wrong? What possibly could go wrong? I mean, the guys at the Federal Reserve must know what they're doing because they didn't see the 2008 stock market crash coming, did they? And instead they just bailed out the broken institutions that caused it in the first place. Who cares? We should give them the benefit of the doubt because they're so smart. Who cares? Who cares that this country, as we once know it, no longer exists? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares?